If you watch a lot of YouTube, you've probably heard a lot of YouTubers expressing a lot of concern lately over the way that the platform is going. A lot of people worried about YouTube's new restricted mode. A lot of people worried about YouTube and Twitter and Facebook and all the ways that their algorithms work and all the ways that they're censoring content and stuff like that. Personally, I've got a big problem with YouTube in that they have a tendency to take down my videos because of fraudulent takedowns from corporations that I'm constantly battling, that are constantly locking my channel up with strikes, making it difficult for me to monetize videos, making it difficult for me to post videos at all, and I keep having to put them on different websites and stuff, and I see a lot of people worried about it and suggesting solutions, but not a lot of people talking about how this happened. Why did we reach this point? And why is this allowed to happen? And I want to explain it by way of talking you through my history with the internet. I've been online for 15 years. I've been looking at stuff the whole time. I've been here forever. And my experience with the internet, both as a creator and as a consumer, has changed massively over the last 5 years in a way that I'm not sure I'm happy with, but I've gotten so complacent with it that I haven't taken any steps to make it stop happening. So, it used to be that on the internet, anybody who was a creator essentially had their own space. Usually a space provided to them by someone else, let's say a heavily customized WordPress blog, or, people on all these different video platforms, most of which have shut down or become useless. We used to have something like, for instance, Blip as a major competitor to YouTube, where a lot of YouTubers who weren't satisfied with the platform migrated over there. Blip made a bunch of stupid changes and was hard to use, and then it got shut down. And so all those people migrated back to YouTube, and very quickly, what all of them have done, what everyone's done really, is change their content to match the social media. Because this has been, like, for people from my generation of the internet, we have grown complacent. Whereas for new users of the internet, this is just how it's always been. The way that the internet is for me these days is that I go on YouTube, and that's where I consume content. I go on Twitter, and that's where I have social media interactions with other people. That's where I, see things that people are sharing. And then I don't really go on Facebook at all. I go on Reddit to, have discussions about stuff or just to see things, again, that people are sharing. I go on 4chan, which is one of the only places left that people are just kind of doing whatever, but even then, it's highly structured. There's a very definitive culture of 4chan, and it's dying. It'll probably be gone before too long. And that's about it. That's all the internet that I use these days. I just go to 5 websites and get all of my stuff from those 5 places. And I feel like this is what everyone's doing now. Everyone's just going to 5 easy places that are aggregating all the content for them. And as a result of everyone having to post in those 5 places in order to get seen by anybody, if you can only really get your content out there by posting it to either YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, or Reddit, then whatever works for those platforms is what you're going to try to do. You're going to try to retool your content to be appropriate for those platforms. And this is why, for instance, text media is just so dead now, that it's so hard to write like an article, because where the hell are you going to share an article? Now, most article websites, I think, get all their traffic through reshares on Facebook and Twitter. It all feeds back into those places, and whichever people just happen to be the type who would actually click on and read an article, a increasingly rare breed, I think. It's why a lot of text bloggers like myself, who was a text blogger in the day, moved to YouTube and just retooled all our content to work as a video. Now, there's a lot of ways that you can be creative within the system. There's lots of different styles of YouTube video. There's lots of people doing different work or just very small changes on the same kinds of things. But the more of it you look at, the more you spend time with these YouTube videos, the more and more homogenous it all feels. The more it feels like everyone is looking at someone else, seeing what works, and then trying to also do that. Because it's just the only way to make headway on these platforms, especially if you're trying to do it professionally. If you're trying to make money, you've got to make content that can make money. Now, in the old days of the internet, it was possible to make some money just by having ads on your website because ads were actually worth something. But these days, ads are just about worthless unless you can get the biggest possible audience for your content. So basically, it's go broad or go home, unless you are so appealing to certain people that you can run a successful Patreon. One of the only people I know who's able to make a living off of their work in spite of not having a broad appeal, not reaching a huge audience, is Endless Jess, who, because his content is just that intensely appealing to the people who follow him, that they're willing to pay for it. But Jess is a fucking genius, and there's plenty of creators who I think, maybe deserve to have a career. Jesse deserves to be making a lot more money than he is, and to be seen by more people than he is, but anybody else is going to say, well, I can't make enough money unless I appeal to everybody, because AdSense is $1 for 1,000 views. So if you're trying to make money through AdSense, you need millions of views, or else it's just not viable. And so everyone's going to try to do the thing that gets you millions of views, unless they just try to lean on their niche so hard that they can manage that Patreon money. And the reason that this is successful anyways is just that there's so many people trying to do it that as a result, we don't run out of content. I mean, I can get through my day only looking at YouTube. There are so many channels I follow putting out such consistent content that I can just sit on YouTube all day, never leave, and never find time for anything else. There's lots of articles that I want to read that someone will link, and I'll think, oh man, that does look interesting. Some old anime blog with 100 readers who's writing something interesting, and I think, oh, I should get around to reading that. But there's enough YouTube content that I never have to, or that I can't because I'm too busy watching all the YouTube content. And it's not that the content isn't good. It is good. It's just that what it's allowing is this system where YouTube has total dominance, where all you need to get through your day is YouTube. And so there's no real incentive to go off and go to someone else's website and read some obscure thing, or actually search through the internet to find something new, something that's totally different. I mean, there's a lot of art that can't be made on YouTube that just wouldn't fit into this system at all. I think one of the reasons that it's so hard to talk about books anymore is that there's no easy way to visually represent a book online, and that's why there's no one doing book reviews. There's Cloud Cuckoo Country, who's not even active anymore, and that was the only book reviewer I've ever seen, in Thug Notes, and that's it. There's just no way to even just to review a book in a straightforward way on YouTube. And so it's just kind of locked out. How many YouTubers who want to be writers are just what do I do with my book? I can't post my book on YouTube unless I do an audiobook of it. What the hell do I do with this thing? It's at a point where people are having ideas that would make sense elsewhere online, and they're just not doing it because it's just not viable. If I can't post it to YouTube, what the hell am I going to do with this thing? If I can't reshare it on Twitter, which your article better be less than 4,000 words, or probably less than that. If you want to hold someone's attention long enough that they click a random link in the middle of this non-stop stream of content and information to go take time out, for however long, to go read some other thing that was sprung on them all of a sudden that they didn't see coming, YouTube gives you this certain rhythm, this certain expectation. I've got 4 videos in a day that are 10 minutes long and 4 videos that are 30 minutes long. All right, I'm going to set the 30-minute videos aside for lunchtime. I'm going to eat a sandwich while I watch a Monkey Jones Let's Play. Then, when I'm in between stuff, when I'm rendering videos, I'll just watch a 10-minute guy. Some of them I have to look at, and those ones I'll save for when I'm paying attention, but then there's the ones I don't really have to look at, and I can play it in the background while I'm working on something else. It's we've formulated our lives around the nature of YouTube videos, around the nature of this platform, and breaking away from that is really difficult. It's hard to find a place in the day for an article or for just going to some bizarre experimental website. Even like playing a Flash game, you know? When will I find the chance? And on the one hand, there is a really great element to this, to all of what's going on here, which is just that it's made it easier. It's made it the bar for entry a lot lower, that people can look at the systems and stuff and like understand it and go, well, okay, I can do that, because if there is no system, then you don't even know where to start. Like, I think Bandcamp's existence has made it so much easier for people to make music just because they know that there is somewhere that they can just post it and somehow it will handle transactions and make it so people can sell the music. All you need to have is a PayPal account and a Bandcamp and you're good to go. But at the same time, it's like we're all like, now in order to make music, you have to tell this specific service, hey, I'm going to give you a percentage of everything I sell, just so that you will, you know, post my stuff up there, and I have to have a 1400 by 1400 album cover, and I have to have these certain file types, I have to have, you know, the certain kinds of information to fill out a Bandcamp page. The page has to look a certain way. Anyone's Bandcamp page you go to, the music's going to be presented the same way as the next guy. And it's like, what are we missing out on when we don't have, say, like, a website you go to with a full audio-visual experience that maybe isn't going to get put together because how the fuck do you pay for it, you know? Or how do you track viewer interest? How do they even find out about it if they're not sent an email by, you know, the record label that a new album came out on that label today or something? Like, we've gotten to a point where we just expect everything to come to us, to be fed to us. And if we have to go looking for it, then it's just not worth it. And it's so hard for any of these other video platforms to take off because they don't have that infrastructure. If I say I'm posting my videos on VidMe now, then my audience who just watches me because I come through the YouTube feed, because while they're going about their day of sitting around on YouTube, opening the app up on their phone when they're at work and clicking on whatever the first video they see is, those people aren't going to take time out to go to another website just to see one guy, unless they really, really care about my videos. And hey, maybe the only audience I really need is the people who really care, you know? I mean, as a Patreon guy, that's who my primary source of income is, you know, and that's why I do post videos on VidMe sometimes, or on some other website, which doesn't have a clear built-in pay model that really works. But at the same time, on YouTube, there's a huge incentive for creators to stay there because AdSense is just free money. Like, even if you're not making a whole lot, if you're on the website and you're in the infrastructure, then as long as you make something anyone watches, then you're going to make something off of it, you know? Like, you don't really have to make something that anyone cares about. You just have to make something they'll click on. And if you can get 100,000 people to click on a video, you just made $100 for free. You know, if I post a video on VidMe, then I can make the Patreon money, but there's $100 that's just not even gonna materialize, you know, that I'm essentially throwing away because, you know, because I decided to put it on a different site. And like, YouTube would have to fuck up so badly to make people not want that additional money. Like, they would have to make our videos completely inaccessible to reach that point, because as long as there's enough people on YouTube to watch it, like, as long as the numbers here are better than the numbers somewhere else, why would I go there, you know? I mean, I could post my videos in both places, but like, why would I bother trying another site if I know that regardless of how much YouTube does to me, no matter how many copyright strikes they hit me with, no matter how hard they make it to watch my videos, if the numbers are still better than they would be on the other site, YouTube wins. And as long as it's so difficult for people to break out of the social media cycle that they're in, then they're not going to have an easy time going around finding other stuff. And I mean, how even do you? Does anybody even really understand how to find new stuff except through Reddit? And Reddit is such a huge pain in the fucking ass because they have all these anti-self-promotion rules. So if you did want like that, to me Reddit seems like in concept the ultimate platform for making something totally unique and then being able to share it with a relevant audience. You know, you could make, let's say, an analysis of Undertale, which is in the form of a browser dive game. Like, let's say it starts with a blog post and you're reading it and then you have to click through links and go through like a multi-part choose your own adventure story that is in itself an analysis of Undertale that reaches different results based on your feelings. I'm just spitballing this off the top of my head, but that's an interesting kind of thing that can't be made on YouTube. I mean, you could do it with annotations, except they're taking annotations away now, so now you can't do that. And there used to be choose your own adventure games on YouTube using annotations. It was a great way to launch ARGs and stuff. Not going to be possible if they get rid of annotations. At least it'll only be possible in a very signposted way with the end card slates that they're replacing annotations with. So, something totally unique like that, but still relevant to an audience because it's about a thing that people understand. You can't just post that on Reddit if you make it, because then it's breaking self-promotion rules. Like, the internet is just making it harder and harder, it feels like, to make something unique. It's so hard to just, like, make the first thing that comes to your head and then test the waters and see if an audience will care about it. But, like, how can you possibly get found if everybody just looks at YouTube? I don't know. So, that's why I think that the complacency introduced by these systems has homogenized the internet and made it so it's so difficult for us to just leave or to, take our business elsewhere, because there is no business elsewhere. And I don't really know how to change it other than to ask people to branch out, go to other places, and throw money at your favorite creators, because part of the problem here is if you can't make money anywhere else, then where do you go? But if we have something like, and I wish we had more options than Patreon. Like, it sucks that that's the only place we can go to get money, because I don't think they run their business that well. They're cloying and obnoxious. I have a whole video about that. But, like, where else do we go? Can I just give out a fucking PayPal email and just count on my fans to just send me money? Like, I guess we have to embrace inconvenience a little bit more. I mean, the reason something like Patreon exists, because, we could theoretically skip the middleman. You could just not be a patron and instead just, like, email me $5 every month, and it would be the same thing, except Patreon wouldn't be taking a cut of it. Except that's totally inconvenient and you can't count on anybody to do it. The complacency reigns, and I don't blame it for that. We're just trying to streamline our lives. We're not trying to spend all our time figuring out how to fucking send somebody $5. It's just unfortunate that what we're losing in the process is unique art, I think, and unique opinions and stuff that can't necessarily be on YouTube. And this is me talking not even about the censorship aspects and stuff like that, because it hasn't really affected me yet. But I'm sure that for some people, that's an even bigger reason to get the hell off of this platform. But, just food for thought. Maybe think about trying to expand your horizons and going out into the internet more, or encourage creators to be able to do so. Or don't, because YouTube is just something you use to get you through the day, and there's enough shit on it that none of this will ever bother you.